So the Browns hired Andy Dickerson as their new offensive line coach to replace Bill Callahan. Dickerson was the offensive line coach for the Seattle Seahawks. Before that, though, he worked for Sean McVay with the Rams, so he does have some of a history in coaching staffs that use pre-snap motion. Let's welcome in Lance Reisland from the Plain Dealer, as well as cleveland.com. Some video analysis, film breakdown of what Dickerson could mean to this Browns offense. And Lance, you looked at the places he's been and the offenses that he has been an offensive line coach for. What do you see with Dickerson?
Well, I think he's really good, and I think he's got one of the toughest replacement jobs in the NFL. Callahan, like I said before, I had the opportunity to watch him down there for 25, 30 minutes each day over the course of 2 camps, and he's just so incredibly dynamic in how he does things. I think Dickerson's a really good fit because not only is he a connection to what Stefanski and Dorsey and Tommy Rees like to do with the 2 tight end sets and things like that, but he's also a connection to the McVay with the movement in the condensed formations. He was with McVay for a long time with the Rams. He was the run coordinator in Seattle in 21. Then he was the O-line coach in Seattle for 22, 23. They did a lot of similar stuff, but he also brings in some different stuff from McVay. So I think he's a fantastic hire. I love the similarities in physicality of what Callahan kind of taught here with the Browns. So I think Cleveland's in good shape with this young guy.
All right, let's take a look at the first clip. And you said this is kind of how he fits into that scheme that the Browns like.
So this is first clip here. So you're going to get a zone play. Browns like to do this. So if you look at when the play goes back here, you're going to see the Browns. This is 13 personnel. And Seattle's going to overload the right side, which makes the Texans overload their defensive left side. It's just a real easy double team inside zone, outside zone look here. They're going to get a double team up to the number 1 linebacker. There's no one left. And Browns run this a ton where they're going to overload one side with the tight ends and run backside either with the counter or with zone. Now, the key for Dickerson, what I was looking at, it's not really the scheme, right? So in every scheme, you either get a double team, a down block, a reach, a mic block. There's certain things within every scheme that are the same. And one of the things that he does really well is his guys double team really well. And that's what the Browns have done really well over the last couple of years with Callahan. It's double team and get to the next level. And his guys in Seattle and his guys in LA did a fantastic job of that. So this is just the zone with the front side double, and they get to that number 1 linebacker in the box.
All right, so another clip that we're going to look at is some similarities. Take us through this next one, what you like here. And this, again, is something that the Browns do with Stefanski and Dorsey.
So, again, if you watch the play as it starts over here a couple times, you're going to see the left side of the line just cave in the right side of the line here, and you're going to see the big movement. Then you're going to see the backside tight end come across. This is called a split zone, and this is just like the zone read. But instead of reading that backside end, you're just blocking him. So again, even though it's split zone from the previous play, it's big double teams at the point of attack. And you can see Seattle's a very physical bunch. They, just like the Browns are inside. This is the way they're coached. This is not on accident. So, when you're with Pete Carroll, he's always liked a powerful running game. So this fits in very well for what the Browns like to do. And again, I like the idea of split zone here because there's times we don't, the Browns are not going to want Deshaun Watson to run the ball very much. I don't know if he can take that pounding at this stage of his career, so they're going to want to make sure that he has some direct handoffs. Again, big double teams, you can see the movement. Browns do this very well, and Dickerson will get the Browns going with this same scheme.
All right, we're going to take a look at one more that is similar. This is another thing that the Browns do some of. Take us through this and what you like here.
So now you get a gap scheme. So again, right, so it's zone or if it's gap, you're still getting a big front side double team on the 3 technique. Now you're going to get the left guard, the left tackle going to pull around. The left guard's going to kick out the defensive end. The left tackle, number 76, is going to wrap up in the hole. This is a classic guard counter. Now the Browns run it a bunch of different ways. They run it with the guard and the tackle. They run it with the guard and the H-back. They run it with the guard and a receiver. They run it with a bunch of different people. But basically what it is you're blocking down, you're kicking out, and you're up through. And the Browns do this very, very well. Again, a concept that translates very well to what the Browns have been running. So has Dickerson. So 2 things that carry over very, very well.
All right, so those are the concepts that the Browns currently run. We've also mentioned he was with Sean McVay in that offense for a little bit. So these are some things that the Browns could incorporate that Dickerson was doing with McVay's offense. Take us through this first and what you see here.
So what you get out of this with this McVay, Shanahan, McDaniels, you get a bunch of, it's still the same stuff. So it's still a zone concept here. A little bit, I think it's more of a gap concept because of the backfield action, the quarterback and the running back opening to their left, which is trying to create flow with the defense. But what you get is you get the backside receiver coming across. And again, now they're using receiver as a kick out guy. And they're going to use him from the line of scrimmage. It's not motion. It's that they just use his speed to come all the way across. So a little innovative way to get the receivers blocked in the run game. And I was asked yesterday, how would you define what McVay does? And what I think he does really well is that it's the same runs everybody else runs, but he runs them from condensed formations, and they run a lot of different motions, and they have different guys than normal blocking with blocking rules. So you're going to get receivers now. They're going to have tight end and lineman blocking rules, which in space can work, and they've proven that it works. So they create an unbalanced line here. They get a big push, and they get the receiver coming around. You can see the Browns using this with some of their big receivers, Seth Tillman and those guys. Yeah,
the other thing that speaks to is you can't, if you run it with wide receiver personnel, they don't get big on the defensive side of the ball. So you spread them out, you keep it small, and if you have physical wide receivers like the Browns have, advantage Browns offense. All right, take us through this next clip, what you see here.
So very cool concept here. Again, so what you're getting here is just a zone. So if you look at what, as the play goes over and over here, you're just going to see hard motion by Woods in motion. What that does, it's just eye candy. So what they're trying to do is he's trying to get the attention of the second level, and you're going to see the linebackers flow with motion, and they end up getting caught in these big double teams by the Rams. So you're going to see big double teams. You're going to see great movement. Rarely are you going to see the Rams, and I think the Browns will start to incorporate more and more of this, is there's always going to be movement, whether the movement is going to be eye candy where it doesn't have any responsibility, or as we watched on the last play where they have a lot of responsibility. But constant movement creates constant eye conflict. And that eye candy makes it really, really tough for a defender to find the football. So lots of movement. I see movement from the Browns offense moving forward with Dickerson here.
And again, that's one of the things that we had talked about. That's one of the trends. The higher scoring offenses incorporate the most pre-snap motion in the NFL. We've talked about that repeatedly. All right, take us through this next clip, what you see here, what's going on.
So this is a cool one. So now you get, McVay's films are very, very fun to watch. You guys sometimes remember I'm breaking it down because as a coach, it's just a joy to watch. So they're going to start off with a formation left, strength here left. And they're going to put Cooper Kupp in motion, and they're going to bring the other receiver, number 12, in motion, and they're going to bring him around as almost like a pulling guard. So again, you're going to get these big double teams on the right side blocking these guys down, and then instead of bringing, a guard and a tackle or a guard and a tight end, they're bringing two receivers. And you see Kupp gets in there first, and then here comes the receiver. So again, it gives you the ability to get unbalanced. You can create formation strength one way and come back the other way with motion and bringing those guys across. Just a really creative way to run the same play, same double team kind of concept, zone, gap schemes, all the stuff that the Browns run. But now you're just getting to a little different way with receivers out in front. And he does this and I see this is something, this is from 220. So I see this being a part of what the Browns do. This is Dickerson when he's with McVay in 220.
Yeah, and again, that's a strength of Kevin Stefanski's offense, is that formation flexibility. All right, take us through this next clip and what you see here.
Well, here, so now you just get a jet sweep. So now, I've been asked why when the Browns run jet sweep, why wasn't it successful? Well, it's the same reason that when I was coaching, mine wasn't successful until I started running motion all the time. So when you run jet sweep like the Browns have done with Elijah Moore, basically he was going in motion and the play was to him. And then as you saw as the year went along, they started doing motion where the play wasn't going to him. So the more that the Browns motion, and they motion on every play. So every single play the Rams run, pretty much Kupp is going in motion or Woods is going in motion. And they're going in late, fast motion. And this is just zone blocking up front for the lineman. So the lineman only hears zone right. but now it's a jet sweep. It's a fly sweep to Woods around the end. And again, it just creates great conflict for a defense. Now they have to prepare to get to the edge as well. Chubb gets back to health. Elijah Moore is a guy who can do this. And I think it's Dickerson, again, brings this great element of running with the Browns run, but how to window dress a little bit more and how to create more advantages for the offensive line and for receivers and blocking. And this is one of the ways you do it. They're just blocking zone up front, get to the edge with the fast guy.